Wow, so hello guys once again and welcome to the Manjus Electric channel. So today we're going to be doing something very interesting, and that is bringing together the different components that you have been designing in Fusion 360, as you have been able to see in my previous videos. So in the previous video I used Lewis Hamilton, and I believe I was so fast and some people could have possibly crashed. So today I decided to use a safety car, a Mercedes safety car, the AMG, as you can see behind there. So on the wallpaper I mean. So today we're going to be moving, I'm going to be limited by the safety car. So I hope you guys will be safe, and let's get started with this video today. So let's go to Fusion. So as I said, let me show you guys how the final component will look like. So as you guys can see here, you can see how the final component of this the hybrid 36YO looks. Or if you want to see a video simulating how all of them come together in combination, I'll be able to drop it in the description so that you guys can be able to appreciate what we have been able to do and what done throughout the whole journey of designing these different components. So let's get started with designing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to File, New Design. So after creating your new design, let me close the previous design. So after creating your new design, you can save it. It's always important to save. So I'm going to call it hybrid 3 6YO assembly design. So after saving it, what we're going to do next is we're going to come to our components, the different components that we're going to bring together. So we're going to come right here. So I'm going to select, right click, then insert current design. As you can see, this appears. So I can move it using these arrows. I can either move it down, I move it up, move it to the side, move it this side. So I'm going to be importing all the components inside, or you could do it one by one, then put them together depending on whatever you want to do. But I prefer to put everything inside, then just bring them together so that I can play around with them. So I'm going to click OK and leave it there. Then I'm going to come to the lower bracket as well. So I'm going to insert, right click, then insert it into current design. So you can see that appears as well. So I'm going to drag it a bit this side, and I'm going to click OK. So we can do the same for all this. So I'm going to come to my molded neck, right click, insert into design. So as you can see, by the way, if you want to change the orientation, as you can see, this is lying horizontally. You can use these circles to change its orientation to vertical. As you can see, I'm looking at these angles right here. So this is 90 degrees. So I can click OK, and you can see the top is right there, and we shall be able to make changes. So I want to move it a bit because I know the next component is going to come right there. So I'm going to come here to move or copy, select the component. So I'm going to come here to select, and I'm going to select this component. So let me cancel that. Move. Oh, you're supposed to change this to component. It's not a body, so it's a component. So you come here, select this, then drag it. I'm going to drag it to the other side a bit, and I'm going to click on OK. Great one. Nice. I made that mistake so that you guys can see it and understand from it. So next thing we can bring in is the nodding plate. So insert into current design. So the nodding plate, I can as well change it 90 degrees, then I'm going to move it up right there. I can move it the other side as well. So yep, that is our nodding plate. Next is our top plate. So I'm going to insert it into current design. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. So I'm going to turn it, since it's a top plate, it's going to be facing down, so it should be 90. Then I'm going to move it up as well. Let me zoom in out a bit, move it up, since it's also going to be up, and I'm going to click on OK. So you could make changes to the bottom plate. Come here to move or copy. You can come to this design, then move or copy, or you can just press M, letter M as a shortcut. Select the components. As you can see, move object here. I've selected components. Do not select bodies because it's a component we're working with. Select it, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to change its orientation to move it 90 degrees. Watch the angle right here, 90, or you could just type in the angle 90 degrees. For this case, you type negative 90. So I'm just going to click on OK, or you can type in the values here as well, but I find that more hectic than using these circles to change my rotation and all that. So yeah, so I'm going to click on OK. Then I'm going to zoom out. Then I'm going to begin positioning these components on top of the let me use my orbit. So I'm going to orbit around. So I'm going to begin aligning this component. So let me pull it. Let me zoom in a bit. So yep, like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin positioning components from the last component down. I'm going to begin piling them on top of each other. So after aligning them all in the directions that they're supposed to be in, I'm going to come to modify, then align. So whichever component you choose first is from, so that component is going to be moved from, and make sure here you selected components. You're going to move that component from the first one you've selected to the second one you've selected. So the first one moves to the second one. So whichever you choose first moves to the second one you're going to select. So we're always going to ensure that our base is the one you select last. Then a component you want to come and attach to our already existing base is the one we're going to select second. So let's get started with this. So I'm going to change my view right there. Well, let me just use orbit. So I'm going to orbit it such that I can see the top face of the bottom plate. Oops. And by the way, this bottom plate is not oriented well. I hope you guys can see that, because the bottom plate is supposed to go inside the cylindrical the molded neck. So I'm going to reverse it. So come back to modify, to move or copy, select the component, then I'm going to change it, rotate it by 180 degrees, and I'm going to click on OK. So like that. So I'm going to use orbit. So I'm going to view under it right there, zoom in, move it down a bit, zoom in. So I'm going to select this phase. Now here, let me move it down a bit again. Now right here, we're going to be selecting this phase. You depending on whichever phase you select a phase that is going to be lying exactly on the surface of the component that you want. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in the wrong way, I would say, in order to teach you guys something, such that when you make such a mistake, you can be able to come back from it. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this inner phase to get attached to the other point. So let me show you how that can possibly happen. So when you hover over this, so when you come to modify, then to align, then you just come and select the center. Just come when you're hovering and select the center like this. You see that that inner blue region that is selected is a surface that is going to get attached to your lower neck. So let's, after selecting that first one, let's move on to selecting this. So I'm going to come and select this surface here. So I'm going to select this, then select this hole, the center point right there, right there. So as you can see, I click OK, then I use this hover button, sorry, escape, let me move it up like that. So as you can see, our material is going under, it's going under, so that is not what we wanted. As you can see here, it's going, our material is going under. That doesn't happen in practical terms. I can't get this mouse and put it on my skin and it goes through my skin, so that doesn't happen. So you have to position it on top. You have to see which surface is going to lie on the surface of the lower neck. So that's what we're going to do, and that's the surface you're going to select. But it's important for us to select, so I'm going to Ctrl Z. Yep, so it has gone back. So let me zoom out a bit, so I'm going to move it. So let me use orbit, I turn it again, so I'm going to zoom in. So I'm going to select the surface that is going to lie on our lower neck bracket. So I'm going to come to modify, align, select this. But in order to select, remember last time we just moved and selected and it selected the wrong part. So in order to select the center of this circle that we drew, or the center of this surface, we're going to press Ctrl, then move our cursor and you'll select that center. And you see it's shaded blue. When it's shaded blue, so we have selected the center point of that surface, which is what we wanted. So I'm going to orbit it again down. So I'm going to escape, then come here. So if you're not able to hover over your lower neck as you're seeing mine, that means you haven't escaped the orbit. So escape it, press the escape button, then just try to hover over it and you'll be able to see the same thing. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to press Ctrl and move our cursor such that you can select the center point of that surface. So as you can see, our bottom plate has snapped exactly on the surface of our body. So I'm just going to click OK. Then let me orbit it such that you guys can see it well. So let me zoom out a bit. So I'm going to orbit it, let me move it up. So as you can see right there, it's exactly on the surface of that. So now after doing that, the next thing we want to do is move the molded neck. So I'm going to come to the molded neck. So I'm going to move it quite above this. So I'm going to come to move or copy. I'm going to select it. Remember, this should be selected as component. So move it this side, then move it up. Okay, so I can just do that. So I'm going to, could just rotate it like this. Move it this side. Orbit it again so that I can see that downer part of it where the bottom plate is going to enter. So remember, the component you select first goes to the component you select second. It's from to. So I'm going to come to modify, then align, then component you select first moves from, then to the component you select second. So I'm going to select this surface, Control, then select its center. As you can see, it's highlighted. Next, we're going to select the surface of the bottom plate. So I'm going to come here. So I'm going to use this hand to move it right there. Escape. I'm going to select the surface and move the cursor, select the center. As you can see, the cylinder comes and snaps automatically. So I'm going to move this a bit such that you guys can see. As you can see right there, it's positioned exactly. As you can see, when I zoom into it, you can see that it's positioned exactly on that. And let me do this a bit. As you can see, that the upper surface of the cylinder or of the bottom plate is fixed on the bottom surface that I selected of the molded neck, as you can see right there. So as well, maybe someone could be having let me escape that. So someone could be having this thing flipped the other way around like this. So what you do is just select this flip button. The surfaces are still intact, they are touching together, but your cylinder is facing the other way around. So what you do is select the flip button to make it stand in the right position. So okay, so you just press OK. So now we can go back. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring the top plate and attach it to the cylinder. So let me move it this side like that. So I'm going to use my hand to pull this, zoom in, zoom in. So I'm going to use this surface right here of my top plate in order to position it on the molded neck. So I'm going to come to modify, then come to align, then select it, hover over that surface. When it becomes white, press Ctrl, then select its center point. After doing that, I'm going to orbit down. So let me orbit down, let me zoom out, then I'm going to move them quite a bit, then I'm going to zoom in, then I want to orbit, right there so that I can see, zoom out a bit. So I'm going to use my hand once again so that I can see that point where my top plate is going to enter. So you see that that part of the top plate I selected is going to come and fix on this point right here. So let me escape the orbit, then I'm going to come and select that surface. When it turns white, I press Ctrl. When press Ctrl, then select its center point. As you can see, the top plate has come and snapped automatically on that. So let me zoom out a bit. So I'm going to do that, zoom out. So let me move it up so I can zoom in. Okay, as you can see right there, it is exactly on the surface. So we're left with one more thing to add, and that is the nodding plate. So now we're going to escape, then press OK. Then after doing that, I'm going to come right here, zoom in. So I'm going to select the surface of the nodding plate. So I'm going to come to modify, then align, and I'm going to select the surface, Ctrl, select the center point. Then I'm going to move to the second part. I'm going to select. So let me come to this, escape, and select this. Let me zoom in a bit. Select the surface, Ctrl, then move your cursor and select the center point, and you see that your nodding plate will snap automatically. So I'm going to zoom out, then drag it up, escape, okay. So yeah, that's basically everything we needed to do, and all our components have been placed together. And we have right here, we have the hybrid 636YO, all the components attached together. So if you've learned something from this video and you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, because these components are they've all been brought together, but we haven't yet made the relationship between these components, in that we could as well make adjustments and see that which component can rotate, which component can stand still, and which component can we, yeah, basically that's it. So make sure you subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, where I'll be making the relationships of these components using the joins feature. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bista.